Today I have a lower body stretch for you that's perfect for small spaces. So if you can't get to the gym, or you don't have a lot of space in your home, or you live in a tiny home, or you just don't like working out in a living room and you're only in your bedroom, this one is for you. Let's dive in. So welcome back everyone. My name is Karen and I'm the Body and Mind Transformation Coach for women with ADHD. And today we are stretching. So if you followed my other workouts for my follow along workouts, you may need a nice stretch, a nice cool down, and that's what I have for you today. So you can do this on its own if you're having a rest day following your fitness system, which I'll link below on how to create that, or you can use this after your workout as a nice little cool down. To be honest guys, I don't stretch enough. I may do circus, but I'm not that flexible. And I don't always enjoy stretching. I mean, our minds are so busy and it can be really hard to take care of our bodies and give it that slower movement it needs. So that's why today is my accountability to bring you along with my stretching routine. So grab your mat, grab the smallest space you can find because you don't need a lot of it, and let's get started. So we'll start standing. Stand nice and tall if you can, if you have the space, reach up to the ceiling. Take a mini back bend if you like, and then just roll down your spine. Nice and slowly all over the ground. And just shift your hips side to side if that feels good. Let the head drop as well. And slowly roll up the spine. All the way back to standing. Just letting the shoulders roll back. And here, just take a moment to see how you're standing. So I want you to try and press equally into both feet. So you can be looking down, making sure they're both pointing forward, they're perfectly aligned. Our arches aren't caving in. Rooting down into all our toes, our heel, sides of our foot. Maybe thinking slightly of spreading the floor apart with your feet. And engaging your glutes slightly, and then stacking yourself from there and staying nice and tall in the shoulders, roll down and back, slightly squeezing in with the butt and the stomach, and just finding that neutral position. And if we can, big stretch up, reach as high as you can. If you can't, if you don't have the space to reach above you, just standing up tall and elongating your spine, and we're gonna roll down again. And once here, just shifting side to side with your hips. And if you chose a poor wardrobe selection, your sweater's covering your face, feel free to take a moment and change out your wardrobe. Not a problem. Coming back up and just letting the shoulders roll back at the top. We're gonna do that one more time if you can. Big stretch up and just rolling down the spine. Still equally standing in both feet, putting the weight equally across the heels and toes. And once here, just hands come to shins or thighs and elongate the spine forwards, and then just fold down again and letting your head just drop. And pedaling out your legs here, so just bending one knee at a time, really nice hamstring, and glutes and hip and calf stretch. And when you're ready, walk your hands forward as far as you can in your space and come into a downward dog. And if you have, poor choice in sweater like I did that's covering my face, feel free to adjust as you need. So in your downward dog here, I want you just to bend those knees, looking back at your feet, not needing to press the heels to the ground right now, and then looking up at your hands, making sure that they're both in line with each other. Fingers are pressing forward, and you're pressing into the thumbs, the big fingers, the thumbs, and the forefingers. And if you have stuff in your eye like I do probably from my sweater, feel free to remove it. Okay, from here, we are going to pedal out those feet back and forth. And as you do that, I want you to continue on as we adjust the wardrobe here. Continuing on, I want you to think of pushing the floor away from you. So really pushing the floor away from you, trying to get your chest towards your thighs here. Okay, just staying here, loosening up the backs of your legs. And then just pausing, pushing that floor away from you. Trying to push your hips to the ceiling. Breathing into the back. And then when you're ready, just drop down to your knees. And let's stay here, keeping those feet flexed. And if you can, just sitting back. Move our heels, get a nice stretch in our feet, which may be really painful. And if it is, feel free to lean forward, have the hands to the ground, even shifting if it's too intense. Otherwise, we're gonna stay here for a little bit. And then we're gonna move into a little lunge series that'll feel really good on thighs, the hamstrings, and the hips. Okay. This is nice. This little sit. Giving your feet some love and some attention. Okay, when you're ready, let's come back to our hands and knees. From here, let's just push up into a downward dog again if you have space. And then just bringing one foot forward into a lunge between the hands and just dropping that back knee back to the ground. If you have space here, perfect. If not, just shorten your lunge and we can do a modification. From here, let's come into two 90-degree angles. Elongating the spine so that you can be up nice and tall. I want you to squeeze your back butt cheek and just reach up with your arm. Big stretch up. Beautiful. And then sliding forwards and then back. We're actually going to move that leg a little bit further forward just so your knees can pass the toe, depending on how long your legs are. We're just going to move forward to that lunge and then back to a hamstring stretch, toes to ceiling. And just watching that your back leg and foot is pointed directly straight behind you, so it's all in line and we're not twisting at the hip or the knee and it's like crooked. If you're ready, warm, this is going to be great. If you're just warming up, these are going to be really nice to get those legs warm before we go into more stretching here. This is one of my favorites. Yet I don't do it enough, so this is really lovely for me today. Okay, let's stay in our hamstring stretch. Hold on to something if you need to. Leaning forward by pushing your bum back, so you're getting a nice stretch in the back of the leg. Just gonna windshield wiper that foot side to side. Feeling the stretch inside, outside of the hip. And thinking of pushing the bum back so we're not rounding the spine. And as that feels good, just gonna point and flex that toe as well here. Well, from there, let's take our hands to the outside of the leg. If you can't touch the ground, like myself, you can put your hands on your leg or on something beside you, but just rotating that torso to the opposite side here and holding. And you can have your foot pointed or flexed, whatever you prefer. And still pushing the hips to the back of the room. And breathing. And when you're ready, take your hands in the inside. Same thing, if you can't touch the ground, holding onto something. Spine straight and just holding here. Again, you can move, point it and flex your foot if that feels good, or just hold it in whatever position you like. And then hands on either side of the leg. Let's move forward into that lunge. Let's do a nice deep lunge here. And then we're gonna come up. So our torso is nice and straight, hands wherever you need them. You know, if you reach the ground or your legs. And I want you to think of pushing your hip, your pubic bone forwards. You're going to think of squeezing your back glute and holding here. So maybe a little back arch. If you can't quite get there, just think of pushing your nice pubic bone forwards. Very attractive. And we're going to hold. And I want you to squeeze your bum slightly here as well. You can think of pulling your foot towards the center of your body and pushing the knee forward. So kind of doing this counter stretch. And then sinking low if you can. And then if it feels good, you can even twist your hips to one side or the other side, wherever you feel a nice, good stretch. For me, it's twisting to my midline. Get a nice stretch in my groin, my adductor muscles, very tight, my deep core muscles, and just breathing. And squeezing the bum slightly, so we're not forgetting about that, making it a bit more of an active stretch. When you're ready, just come back up to that hamstring stretch. Just let that out. Beautiful. From here, you can stay lean forward. Just kick that back heel and grab that foot. Hold on to something if you need for balance. And then we're going to think of pushing our hips forward, so think of squeezing your bum, so we can stretch out the front of the leg and our quad and hold here. This one's really tight for me, so make sure you keep breathing. Really important. I'm going to attempt to talk as I breathe through the pain. Yeah, this is my grimacing face. You got this. Feel free to also put on whatever music you like. I mean, if it's really painful right now, maybe put on your most favorite song in the world to get you through this. Otherwise, nice calming music is always lovely. Let's release that. Beautiful. Okay, if you need to, just moving back and forth here if that feels good. If you heard that nice ankle crack, that felt good. Let's switch legs. Okay, other leg forward. Let's just move forward and back in that lunge again. Holding on if you need, and making sure that back foot is directly behind the knee, so it's perfectly in line. I know mine like to twist a little bit, so just making sure, because if you are tight in certain areas of your leg, you will end up twisting your hips a little bit. Good. And then when you're feeling good, let's stay in our hamstring stretch. Hold on to something if you need, and we're just going to rotate like windshield wiper that foot from side to side. And still breathing. Very important. And now let's just point and flex here. It's about stretching in tiny spaces. It works. We just have to be a little creative sometimes. Okay, from here, let's take our hands towards the outside, and we're holding, really feeling that stretch on the outer thigh, and again making sure that we're all lined up with our leg behind us. I apologize for the camera shaking. I'm doing laundry. It shakes the entire house. Joys of tiny home living. Okay, let's take our hands to the inside, so rotating our hips that way. Again, keeping that spine nice and straight, so think of pushing your bum to the back of the room. And then hands on either side. Right. Let's come up and down to our lunge. Let's stay upright. Big stretch up. Think of squeezing your bum. Big reach. And then slide that foot forward. Come forward in your lunge. Making sure our leg is straight behind us. From here, think of pushing your belly button, your pubic bone, that hip forward. Slight squeezing your bum. If you can reach up or just take a little back arch here. And breathe. Very important. So to get that nice stretch, if you're not feeling a stretch, squeeze your bum, you can relax it. You can make it as active or passive as you want today, just depending where you feel the stretch. You can also rotate from one side to the other side, wherever you're gonna get most of a stretch. For me, it's a bit more rotation to the midline of my body, so I'm gonna rotate because it's right in my deep groin, my deep core muscles from too many leg lifts. The joys of circus in and leg lift in. And we're holding here. Keep breathing. I'll keep reminding you. When you're ready, slowly come all the way back up, straighten that front leg, let that hip and groin relax. And then coming forward, reaching back, grabbing that ankle, and stretching the quad. If this is too intense, you can also prop your foot up against a wall behind you, and then your leg can be a little bit lower because you don't need to reach for it, or you can even do the standing. I do like it in this position though, it's a bit more easier to get a deep stretch. And think of pushing your hips and belly button forward, even tucking your tailbone, and that will help get a nice deep stretch. And we're breathing through it. Of course, if there's any pain or like nerve pinching or shooting pains, please stop, come out of the stretch slightly, and go into as far as it feels comfortable. And if nothing feels comfortable, just take a rest during this part. That's completely fine. And relaxing the upper body here as we're stretching the lower body. We're almost done. You're doing great. I'm slightly dying, but you are doing great. Okay, let's release that. If you need to, just come back to up and just stretch it out. Awesome. Okay, let's finish off with our last one here. So come back down to the ground, all fours. Step one leg back, bring your other leg forward into a pigeon stretch. Now I want your shin parallel to the wall in front of you, or if you're in a van wall in front of you. And I don't want you to collapse down on this hip. You're gonna actually be upright, keeping both hips pointed forward. So your back shin is gonna be flat on the ground. And then you're gonna practice rotating your hips. You're gonna think your right leg's forward. You're thinking of pushing your right hip bone back without collapsing down. So you're quite tight like me. You're gonna have some space between you and the ground. I actually like to do this raised. Sometimes that can be a little tricky. However, if you have like a low bed or couch, definitely raise that leg. That back leg won't be as straight. You'll be more in a kneeling position, but that's totally fine. So as you're holding, you're still thinking of rotating that hip back, like pulling the knee back and trying to get that opposite leg, your left leg, flat on the ground. And just holding, feeling a deep stretch in the glute and the hip here. And as you sink into a little bit further, just slide that back leg back a little bit. And breathe. And relax. Welcome back to all fours. Let's do this again. Other side. Kick back. There we go. And getting that back leg right behind you, flat on the ground. Shin parallel to the wall in front of you. So it should feel nice and intense stretch. And then thinking of pulling that hip back even as you push your opposite hip. So now if your left leg's in front, pushing your right hip forward, your left hip back. So this kind of rotation. Ooh, nice deep stretch. And we're holding. Fun fact, I may do circus, but I am not flexible and I don't enjoy stretching all that much. So this is lovely. My accountability is doing this with you. We get to stretch together in our tiny spaces here. Making sure that shin is parallel to the front room, the wall in front of you. And try not to sink down on that hip that's in front. So your left hip, so thinking of keeping those hips equal, so pushing onto your back hip more. And we're holding for 3 and 2 and 1. Awesome. Come back. So on all fours. And take a seat. And there's your lower body stretch for your small space. I hope you had a lovely time like I did. Always lovely sharing space with you, and I hope you had some good music playing on in the background as well. You did it. I am so proud of you for moving your body today, whether it was just a stretch for you today or maybe you did the workout and now this was your cool down. Either way, I'm really proud of you. And thanks for sticking with me, even through wardrobe malfunction, because this is my accountability as well to get my stretching in and not get distracted. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you click subscribe below because you'll get notified when I post follow-along workouts. You can do along with my other mindset videos, and definitely click like as well. It helps me reach more women like yourself who really need this. And finally, if you haven't already, make sure you check out the Fitness Identity course. It's linked below as well. It is open for application if you're watching this now. Otherwise, you can apply for the wait list. And it is for you if you felt like your diet's gone to shit, that the extra weight that you've put on is just adding stress to your body, if you're feeling trapped in your body, If you're not prioritizing or nourishing your body with what it needs, then I want you to check that out for the Fitness Identity course. Because after the 12 weeks, you're going to be looking in the mirror and fully seeing the confident, glowing, happy woman that you already feel inside. It's about doing the inner work, but also matching the outer to how we feel inside. Because I don't want you to feel trapped in your body without the stamina, without the energy, without the strength, without the confidence that you've already been putting in the inner work, in your own self-growth journey. So click the link below. It's a 12-week transformational program, and I will see you all next week.